This is the back. It shows the muscles attaching the upper limb to the vertebral column and shows also the muscles on the back of the scapula. This is the trapezius muscle. Its fibers arise from the spines of all thoracic vertebrae, the ligamentum nuchae, the external occipital protuberance, and the superior nuchal line. The fibers converge towards the shoulder to be inserted into the upper border of the spine of the scapula, inner border of the acromion, and lateral third of the posterior border of the clavicle. This insertion corresponds to the origin of the deltoid muscle. This is the posterior part of the deltoid muscle. It's attached to the spine. It's attached to the lower border of the spine of the scapula. This is the latissimus dorsi, overlapped by the lower part of the trapezius muscle. Its upper border is horizontal and covers the inferior angle of the scapula. Its fibers continue behind, below, and in front of the teres major muscle to reach its insertion into the humerus. Observe the triangle of auscultation, which is bounded by the trapezius muscle medially, the medial border of the scapula laterally, and the upper border of the latissimus dorsi below. In the floor of this triangle, you can see the rhomboides major muscle. This is the teres minor muscle arising from the lateral border of the scapula. It follows this border up to become inserted into the lower part of the greater tubercle of the humerus. It's fused with the infraspinatus muscle and is supplied by the axillary nerve. This is the infraspinatus muscle filling the infraspinous fossa. It's inserted into the greater tubercle of the humerus. This is the trapezius muscle cut from its origin and reflected to show the two rhomboid muscles and the levator scapulae inserted into the medial border of the scapula. The rhomboid is inserted into the medial border from the root of the spine down to the inferior angle of the scapula. The rhomboides minor is inserted opposite the root of the spine. The levator scapulae is inserted in the border from the root of the spine up to the superior angle. This is the supraspinatus muscle, which fills the supraspinous fossa. It's inserted into the top of the greater tubercle of the humerus. Observe the strong, deep fascia covering the muscle. This is the suprascapular nerve, which arises from the upper trunk of the brachial plexus and enters the supraspinous fossa deep to the suprascapular ligaments. That's to say, through the suprascapular notch. The suprascapular nerve supplies both supraspinatus and infraspinatus muscles. Note that the suprascapular vessels run above the suprascapular ligament. This is the quadrangular space. It's bounded by the long head of the triceps medially, the cervical neck of the humerus laterally, the teres major below, and the teres minor above and from the back. The subscapularis replaces the teres minor from the front. The quadrangular space contains the axillary nerves and the posterior circumflex humeral artery. This is the triangular space. It's bounded by the long head of triceps laterally, the teres major below, and the teres minor above. The space contains the circumflex scapular artery, which passes deep to the teres minor to enter the infraspinous fossa and shares in the anastomosis around the scapula. This anastomosis is formed by the suprascapular artery from the subclavian, the deep branch of the transverse cervical artery from the subclavian also, the subscapular artery from the axillary.